Hello everyone, please press subscribe, press follow, press the bell so you don't miss any new clips. Astral Pet Store. Author by Ancient She. Audio novels by Novelist. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 151. A Stupid Question. You, for real? Zhu Yingshu doubted. A titled battle pet warrior told you where he lives. Just like that? Come on, sis. Didn't I tell you already? Somebody's gonna find the hidden potential in me sooner or later. This man's a real coach, and he answered my question without a second thought. What does that mean? He knows I'm good. Who knows? Maybe he'll take me in as his personal student for real. I see. Zhu Yingshu slowly nodded. After listening to her brother, she believed that this mysterious teacher wasn't being generous. Maybe he never meant to hide anything. Calm down. Zhu Yingshu frowned at Xuanhuan. Just make sure you behave in front of your teacher tomorrow. And if you get to study under him in the long run, well, congratulations. Xuanhuan smirked. Of course, sis, I know what's important. I mean, you should congratulate him for finding a student as brilliant as me. Zhu Yingshu rolled her eyes but decided not to point out Xuanhuan's problematic speech. I'll go with you tomorrow, so you don't accidentally say something you're not supposed to. Besides, the outskirts aren't exactly safe. No, if anyone tries something funny, I can just beat him down. Heck, I'm one of them. Here, an apple to keep your mouth full. Hey. Inside the Pixie Pet Store. Over. After dismissing Xuanhuan's chat, Su Ping kept skimming through the student list to look for candidates with good ambitions. Answering a few of Xuanhuan's questions over the internet just earned him 500,000. If he could, he would consider this as a new way of teaching, which would save him a lot of time compared to doing home visits. More importantly, he wouldn't neglect his usual business this way. Unfortunately, not many students could accept such a method for obvious reasons. Su Ping had to search for really desperate ones to take the bait, to hire his services. With this in mind, an eye-catching message that read, urgent. Immediate response quickly came into view. TSK. Business coming up. He briefly checked the job description and made sure he was up for it, before contacting the student. Inside an apartment room, a woman sat cross-legged on a soft cushion, while swirls of astral power surrounded her body. It was her usual training routine. Beep. Her PC suddenly sent her an alert. She slowly opened her eyes, dispelled the astral power, and checked the screen. Longjiang, cool dude, has sent you a message. Wait, what? It was strange, but she could tell the message came from the online tutoring site, so she decided to check it out since she was indeed looking for a private teacher. Longjiang, cool dude, hello. Do you need a lesson? Oh, nice, someone found my message. Wait. She saw the speaker's name inside a golden frame, implying that it was a titled battle pet warrior. For real. She immediately straightened her body on her seat with a surprised look. Didn't they say that the website only uses titled warriors to lure people in? They never teach. Delighted, she clicked on the teacher's name to check the profile. Tutor records. None. Time of registration. A few days ago. Reviewed. No. There was even an beside this man's name telling her to be cautious. Xuanhuan found her passion was quickly turning cold. It did seem like a typical scammer to her, though she was smart enough not to assume this yet. There was still a very slim chance that she was truly talking to a newly registered titled warrior. It didn't hurt to try. This website dished out serious punishments to scammers anyway. Greetings. Sir, are you available? Xuanhuan typed her first message. I do online courses only. No on-the-spot appointments. Of course, such courses are cheaper. Wait, what? Xuanhuan halted in the middle of her next message. We're not going to meet. What kind of private teacher is that? How much for an online course then? She had decided to drop the courteous tone. How about 800,000? Hey, Xuanhuan spat. This guy's an ambitious fraud, eh? He wants that kind of money just by typing a few words on the keyboard. She did have a problem with her training right then, so she decided to proceed and see what would happen. Alright, I've been stuck at the 6th rank for a long time. Do you perhaps know how to help me to get to the next rank? She moved her cursor over the report button just so she could hand this cheater to justice the moment she saw a dishonest answer that asked her to pay pronto. A real titled warrior should be able to assist her without a problem. Su Ping was indeed stumped by such a question, since he himself was only at the 4th rank. He had no idea what the bottleneck that separated those two ranks felt like. Well, these kinds of queries weren't included in your original request, right? Didn't you need a teacher to help you with your pets? Xuanhuan's expression turned cold. She knew how this tutoring site worked. Anyone could be registered as a titled battle pet warrior at the beginning, though they had to go through an official review process to get approved. Otherwise, a false registration would only result in their teaching license being permanently revoked. Apparently, she was looking right at such a case. Xuanhuan made up her mind to embarrass Su Ping further before hitting the report button. Pets. Alright, let me ask this. How can a 7th rank corpse dancer defeat a fire-type limbo lion? She hit enter, sat back on her seat and waited for Su Ping to come up with a lie. Hey, they are both rare astral pets. It would also be rare for ordinary teachers to have seen them, let alone knowing how they fight. What can a liar do? Su Ping's message came. A corpse dancer can't win against a limbo lion. But how? Is the lion at a higher rank? Of course they're at the same rank. Xuanhuan wasn't making things up. That question was an important task a teacher assigned her. She had spent several years exploring barren areas, after which she went to a college again to go for a higher degree, with the hopes of becoming a leader or a manager of settler teams, not an expendable foot soldier. To achieve this goal, getting a good score in college was crucial. She had to deliver all her homework and projects as best as she could. How about their skill sets? Asked Su Ping. Well, the standard composition you can find from the Federation's book. The standard one. Su Ping held his chin and pondered. The illustrated books published by the Federation came in different types aimed for pets at different levels. To most people, using a standard book was enough because it contained everything they should know about an average pet. On a side note, pets that were qualified to be quoted by a standard illustrated book were inferior pets, according to the system. Weird. An average corpse dancer should have enough skills to take down a limbo lion with ease. Do I really have to answer such a stupid question? Su Ping thought. He still did, since it was his job after all. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 152 Su Ping the Scammer. Since the answer was pretty much straightforward and simple, Su Ping made sure his answer was just as brief. To ensure a quick win, there are 3 steps to take. First, tell the corpse dancer to use dark mist to cover the battlefield, then use deadly roar and death hymn to disrupt the lion's spirit. Next, use soul incursion to get the lion when its mind is vulnerable, so you can control its movements. The last step, tell your corpse dancer to waltz up ahead and punch the lion in the face. Su Ping sent that message and sipped some water. The third step was unnecessary since most people would see what they had to do when their opponent was no longer moving. Though he still explained, just in case. Meanwhile, Xuanhuan didn't know whether she should get angry or laugh after that ridiculous lesson. The quick win part made the answer even worse, as if the speaker knew several different methods to win at a slower pace. She remained patient while reading the response. When she reached the end of the message, she was 100% sure that this teacher actually knew nothing. Those steps were wrong. Death hymn was indeed a standard skill known by corpse dancers. It was a spiritual attack intended to obscure the minds of average enemies. But a limbo lion was not an average enemy. The hymn wouldn't work. Soul incursion was the corpse dancer's main trick. Of course Xuanhuan knew about it. She also knew that this skill couldn't be used lightly because it would have the opposite effect if the enemy's spirit was more powerful. In the worst case, the corpse dancer would die if its own attack backfired. As for the last step, she felt as if she was being mocked at. The fight should be basically over if soul incursion somehow worked. Even idiots knew how to finish off an immobile enemy. That question was, well, 500,000 should be enough. Su Ping said his price, a little uncertain about it. Even if he liked money, that sounded a bit too much for an idiotic question. But he couldn't set his price too low either, as it would potentially ruin the market. He was a titled battle pet warrior teacher, after all. Xuanhuan was about to report Su Ping, but she almost threw her mouse at the floor when looking at the payment request. I'm doing this guy a favor by not pointing out his terrible fraud already. And yet he's asking for money. The price was fine as long as her problem was solved. She was even willing to pay double. But paying a scammer, not in her life. She moved up her sleeves to engage in a keyboard fight. 500,000. Isn't that a bit cheap? Su Ping raised an eyebrow, though he didn't find it necessary to go back on his own offer. It's fine. Consider it my service for our first time. I'll return to my usual pricing when we meet next time. Well, to hell with you then. This guy's so stupid that he can't even read a joke. Xuanhuan clenched her teeth. There won't be a next time, loser. Come on, I don't want to disappoint such a brilliant teacher. I'll pay you 5 million. 5 million. Su Ping went agape. Was I underestimating my service? Or was that actually a very important question? If you say so. Su Ping gave in. Xuanhuan laughed at that. He actually believed it. Seriously. Right. Send me your phone number now. Phone number, not a bank account. Su Ping still complied since they were talking about 5 million. He thought the payer wanted to be extra cautious. Xuanhuan saw Su Ping's message and immediately dialed the number, while still snickering. Beep. Su Ping picked up his phone and saw the caller's number displayed in asterisks. Though this wasn't a problem since rich families all knew how to hide their privacy. Hello. Eat dog shit, you absolute fucking. The caller spent a few minutes unloading a bunch of curses, laughing madly, and then hanging up. Su Ping lowered his phone, dismayed. What was that? Someone got the wrong number. He shook his head and continued reading the online chat. Screw you and go to hell, dumbass. That was the student's last message. Her portrait was grayed out, so she either went offline or had blacklisted him. Su Ping just realized he had been fooled. He did his job just fine, and this was how he got paid in the end. Fuck. Don't let me find out who you are. Irritated, he closed the site and turned away. It seemed, online teaching had way more problems than he thought. Maybe this is because I haven't been reviewed yet. But can't that student go and try to see whether my suggestions work? Useless fool. He took several deep breaths to calm down. He had decided to give up being an online teacher. He had many more means to find money anyway. That felt good. Xuanhuan dropped her phone and laughed on her bed. This is how you deal with stinky online scammers. And he can't even do a thing to me. A moment later, she got off bed and found the report page to do the unfinished job, so this scammer wouldn't continue annoying other people. Her phone rang as soon as she closed the page. She wondered if that scammer was calling her back, but dropped that thought since that was impossible when she had a privacy protection set up. That service cost her family a lot every month. She read the number on display and quickly adopted a more serious attitude. Hello, teacher. Xuanhuan, did you finish my assignment yet? I'm working on it. I'm doing good. Good. Send me the result in 3 days. Of course, teach. I'm confident in you. Don't let me down, all right. Xuanhuan ended the call as she slumped back down on the floor. Finishing the task in 3 days was pretty much impossible. She had spent days inside a battle simulation unit and never once did she succeed. The assignment was a rather tough one. A limbo lion was of the fire type, which was naturally at an advantage against undead-type astral pets. Fire didn't work as well as holy power when attacking the undead, though it was still effective. She even used the simulation system in opposite ways by controlling a limbo lion to fight a hostile corpse dancer. But no matter how she tried, the lion would always emerge victorious. She had received such a difficult assignment for homework just because her teacher had high hopes for her. But she was stuck. She went back to her bed and moaned. Su Ping cultivated his astral power in the shop while at the same time he was thinking of other ways to broaden his source of income. The clock had struck 5 in the afternoon, which meant that the students from the Phoenix Peak Academy would begin to arrive soon. It was also time for most common employees to leave their companies and start their after-work activities. As the street outside grew busier, several familiar faces soon showed up at Su Ping's shop. Sir. It was Zhang Beixing who crossed the finishing line first that day. He expected the shop to be packed with people soon, so he sneaked out of his last lesson halfway just to get there sooner. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 153 Renowned. Right behind Zhang Beixing was another famous student who had recently made a name on the Academy's Battle Power ranking list, Lu Pengfei. He was able to garner all that glory mostly thanks to the training sessions he regularly bought in Su Ping's shop. As for the rest of the customers, Su Ping did know them, but he couldn't remember every name. There were just too many students from the academy who kept coming. You look wonderful today, Professor. Sir, are you truly a titled battle warrior? Apparently, all those students had watched him defeat a veteran teacher from the Berserking Blade Academy earlier that day, and they all looked thrilled. Being such a young advanced teacher was impressive enough. Nobody thought that Su Ping was that strong. His exploits had made clear why Su Ping was so highly regarded by the academy. As a titled battle pet warrior, he could be elected as the next vice principal if he wished to. I'm not there yet, I just used a small trick back there. By the way, which pet are you getting trained today? Although people were clearly more concerned with the first part of his response. You're not titled, Zhang Beixing yelled. But how come? You can fly. Yeah, we all saw it. What kind of small trick, Professor? Teach us. Come on. Su Ping waved a hand impatiently. That's not something you can learn. This is a pet shop. Get on with it if you want me to train your pets. You're not joking, right? Then which rank are you at, sir? I've never heard of any tricks that could make you fly for real. Su Ping showed a stern look. Keep wasting time and I'll have to increase my prices. Is that what you want? That got people under control easily. Within seconds, they quieted down and made an orderly line in front of the counter. Hey, the wonders of money. Su Ping took out his account book and began his work. Sir, do you have to write my name every time? Zhang Beixing showed a timid smile. I basically come every day. Well, I don't want to miss your payment, duh. Hey. Zhang Beixing quickly took out his phone and paid. The price was fine as long as the quality of the training service was fulfilled. However, having gone there so many times had emptied Zhang Beixing's wallet. That day would be his last visit before he was able to get more money. Damn it, I need to be quick. They say you can earn cash and train in barren areas, so I should try that out. Zhang Beixing had always been an average and insignificant student at the academy, until he received Su Ping's service and climbed all the way to the top 20 on the academy's ranking list. The only problem was that he only had his Pyro Canine as his main pet, which could be easily countered if his opponents knew how. Otherwise, he was confident that he'd reach the top 10. The Pyro Canine saw Su Ping and its bright eyes darkened in despair. It obediently moved to the back of the shop, head lowered. Su Ping ignored the dog and addressed the next customer, Lu Pengfei. Hey, Professor. Are you going to teach us about something other than undead pets? Lu Pengfei asked passionately. Perhaps. Lu Pengfei suddenly grew sad as he remembered that graduation was near. By that point, graduates like him would either have a safe and boring life inside the base city, or they could gamble for wealth and fortune in the barren areas. Settlers in barren areas would not have the chance to visit the city often. In other words, he would be unable to visit Su Ping's shop like he used to. After registering the last customer, Su Ping took all the pets into the pet room and threw them inside the nursing space. When he returned to the counter, he saw that a part of the customers remained behind, probably because they wanted to chat with him. He had defeated an abyss snake when everyone was watching. Even if he said that he wasn't a titled battle pet warrior, people weren't going to take his words seriously. However, nobody could find the time for small talk as more people soon came rushing into the shop. It's really him. It's Professor Su. This is his shop. Many of them were visiting for the first time, after finding out the address through friends who had also watched the match. Sir. Good day, sir. Men and women of various sizes and colors blocked the shop's door. Seeing that surge of new customers, Lu Pengfei and some of the others still loitering decided to leave, to avoid affecting his business. Su Ping sighed when he saw the crowd slowly getting out of control. Get in line, get in line. I only provide pet training for the moment. If you didn't come for that, give your place to someone else. The students did as told, though this wouldn't prevent him from asking several good old questions out loud. Are you really a titled battle pet warrior, sir? What is that skeleton? What is its exact species? Do you have a GF yet? Su Ping simply ignored the first two questions. The third one was worth considering, since it was asked by someone with a rather sweet voice. But he gave up after looking among all the people without finding the speaker. He didn't want to accidentally encourage several eager women who looked too big to his liking. Training a middle-rank pet is 100,000. The man at the front of the queue called out in disbelief after hearing Su Ping's price. He went there to join in the fun. Spending some money was fine, but not such an amount. Not all students of the Phoenix Peak Academy were rich. To an average family, such a number was an important matter they had to discuss first. When Su Ping confirmed the price for a second time, the man dropped his friendly smile as he felt humiliated. In his view, not even a titled battle pet warrior would swindle customers like this. This guy's exploiting his name to make dirty money, isn't he? Get a move on. A waiting customer protested. The price is fine to me. Or do you think Mr. Su needs to trick you? Yeah, move it already if you ain't paying. The man apologized with an irritated look and stepped aside. He did respect Su Ping after watching that fight, but he was in no condition to cough out 100,000 without talking to his family first. Several regular customers in the queue sneered at him. That guy's gonna regret it really hard, after learning the true value of Mr. Su's training. To them, seeing Su Ping become so famous was bad news, because they would have to compete against more and more people for a spot at the shop at this rate. That was why they didn't mind clearing up the misunderstanding about the true worth of Su Ping's services to any new customers. Instead, they would gladly see them be scared away. Without knowing what his clients were thinking about, Su Ping registered their names at a steady pace. However, the line was not getting shorter in the least. More and more students from the academy were joining it and making it uncomfortably longer. My goodness. Lan Lele and Xuanhuan shook their heads as they saw how many more people were behind them. Just like most people, they went to visit Su Ping as soon as they saw what he did to their rival, only to get stuck in this large group unfit for such a small shop. At this rate, they would soon block the entrances of the other shops along the street. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 154 Arrival. How popular is this place? Lan Lele was so awed that she couldn't speak. Xuanhuan didn't expect this, either. Who could have known that the young store owner had not only become an advanced teacher in their academy, he also was a titled battle pet warrior. They originally thought that Su Ping had pulled some strings, using the connection of that mysterious master trainer in the store as leverage to become a teacher. It came as a surprise to them that Su Ping had accomplished those achievements by relying on himself. It was beyond their imagination that a titled battle pet warrior could be so young. Xuanhuan remembered when she went to tell the good news to Su Ping when she won second place in the match. That recollection filled her with mixed feelings. She had to rely on the lightning rat to win second place. Compared to Su Ping, even Yi Hao the champion was not commendable, at all. Yingying, do you think he still remembers us? What should I do? I questioned him and argued with him. Who would have thought that this stingy person is a titled battle pet warrior? Look, wouldn't those kinds of people, if they do exist, lose themselves in cultivation? Why would he spare the time to run a store here? Lan Lele was mumbling. Xuanhuan curled her lips. She never saw Su Ping's cultivation, but he was a titled battle pet warrior. What was there to say about such a freaky genius? Xuanhuan heaved a sigh and sighed. Wondering about him was of no use to her. She had shown up for a reason. The matches at the academy were over and their vacation was about to begin. The academy had signed those top students up for training in the barren areas. Before she left, she wanted to have her pet trained by Su Ping again. This way, she would be more confident about going to the barren area. She calmed herself down after the shock that came once she found out more about Su Ping. She was leaving for the barren area. Although Su Ping's power was stunning, she believed that she would catch up with him gradually after training and fighting for her survival in the barren area. Su Ping had achieved the goal she also had sooner. Maybe, when she caught up with him, he would still be a titled battle pet warrior. After all, the legendary warriors were still stronger than titled battle pet warriors. Natural endowments alone would not be enough. Luck was another important element. Many outstanding talents would remain stuck at the titled battle pet warrior stage for the rest of their lives, not because they lacked the ability. Good fortune played an important part. Xuanhuan thought she would probably get lucky. A great talent takes time to mature. At the store, Su Ping was taking notes quickly. 100,000. 10,000. The transfers were being made. Su Ping would only pick up the pets after the money arrived in his account. He would take the pets to the pet room, close the door, and place them in the training space. He had no time to check his account. But since he had been paying attention that day, he was sure he had made a killing. Another day of fabulous business. Su Ping was not certain about the exact amount he had received. After all, many of the pets were of low rank and the training fee was a mere 10,000. Su Ping was wondering whether he should only accept middle-rank pets in the future. If that were possible, he could make more money. However, just as the thought popped out, the system struck it down. According to the system, the pet store should accept all pets. There should be no discrimination. Su Ping argued with the system. I'm not against any pets, only against the low price. The system ignored his absurd argument and vanished after issuing a warning to Su Ping. There was nothing Su Ping could do to win an argument against this system. The system couldn't be regarded as a lifeless, inflexible item. Sometimes, the system would get angry. For example, when Su Ping praised it. On the other hand, the system couldn't be regarded as a living being with a wide range of emotions. Sometimes, the system would be rigid. The system required energy points. So, what was wrong with wanting to make more money? Anyways, Su Ping's proposal was rejected. He didn't bother to think more on this front. He could never win against the system. Su Ping kept on writing down orders and collecting money like an emotionless machine. An hour later, Su Ping came out from the pet room once again. He saw that the line outside the store was still long, which left him stunned. At the same time, he felt sorry he had to let them go. He took a deep breath and revealed this painful news to those waiting in line. No more vacancies. Come back tomorrow. He finished his words. Those waiting started an uproarious din. No vacancies. Look at the time. How could that happen? Many students were complaining unhappily. But some students didn't regard this as a serious matter. Those students were just there to check Su Ping out. As for training, they were wondering, why would someone be stupid enough to trust his training? He was a titled battle pet warrior, not a titled trainer. Those were two completely different things. The ones who assiduously went to visit Su Ping found those complaining ridiculous and silly. I am the only one that can see the truth, some students thought. They gave Su Ping a smile. Inwardly, they were comparing themselves to the other students who were complaining. They were so different and so calm instead. Maybe, Su Ping would remember them better, since their actions were completely different when compared to the other stupid students. That wasn't bad. No more space. Mixed in the crowd, Lan Lele and Xuanhuan were stunned by the news. They had been queuing there for a long time. Only a few people were in front of them. It would be their turn in 10 more minutes or so. How could all the slots have been taken? They had waited for so long for nothing. The two girls looked at each other. They found no words to describe their feelings. In the old days, they go to the store at any time and there wouldn't be a line. As it currently was, not only they had to wait in line, they stood and waited for nothing. This is insane. In the old days, there was no one when we came here. But it's full now, Lan Lele complained in a low voice. Xuanhuan produced a forced smile. I knew it. Once people learned about this place, it would instantly become popular. I was right. Alas. Xuanhuan felt worse when she remembered how she had no money when she had the chance to train her pets here. Lan Lele pouted. She stopped complaining. After all, Xuanhuan's lightning rat had been trained there. Su Ping himself was enough to attract customers. Besides, the effect of the training offered was appealing. In the old days, people just didn't know and were easily scared away by the high prices and the shabby storefront. Right then, to get a training spot had become difficult. As time moved on, the slots in Su Ping's store would be much sought after. Let's come back tomorrow at an earlier time, Lan Lele suggested. Xuanhuan heaved a sigh and left. People gradually wandered off. Su Ping apologized once again and closed the shutter door. He didn't expect his service would sell so well, either. All the spaces were full when it was still quite early. I must upgrade the store soon, because the demand will only become greater from here on. Su Ping rubbed his forehead. The training space and all the nursing pens in the store were full. Su Ping bought another 25 elementary nursing pens later. Currently, he had 50 nursing pens in total, the most the pet room could handle. Fortunately, the nursing pens were small and the spaces inside the nursing pens were independent to the exterior. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the small pet room to house the 50 nursing pens. At the moment, he had nearly 100 pets to be trained. Only after the store was upgraded could he buy more nursing pens and upgrade the training space. Making money with private tutoring is not fast enough. I must make money now. What is the quickest way? Su Ping sat by the counter with a worried look on his face. Apart from making money as soon as possible to upgrade the store to obtain more spaces, Su Ping wanted to enhance his cultivation as well. He had been trying his best and the progress in the Chaos Star chart was fast. However, to reach the 5th rank, there was still a long way to go. After he reached the 5th rank, his dummy would be able to train more pets at one time. Su Ping felt he had too many things on his plate. He considered those matters and was completely at a loss as to how to achieve them. All of a sudden, he slapped himself on the head. Why didn't he go and train the pets while thinking? He took the Inferno Dragon, the Dark Dragon Hound, the Purple Python, and 2 other middle-ranked pets he picked up with him and entered the Dragon King's heritage ground. He could train the other 2 pets of his customers in addition to his 3 pets. Soon. It was midnight. Su Ping entered the Dragon King's heritage ground again and again. Every time he returned, he would take 2 different pets to be trained with him and switch another batch of pets to be trained by the dummy. This way, in an hour, he could have 7 pets trained. When he came back to the store for another round, he heard a knocking on the door. He looked up and realized it was late at night, which scared him. He never went home at such a late hour and he had forgotten to contact his mum. She was surely worried. Su Ping felt vexed. He tried to find out who was outside. It wasn't his mum, but Su Lingyu. Su Ping was confused. What was she doing there so late? Was she checking up on him by Mom's request? He shouted, "Coming," and then stored away the pets that had finished training. As for the Dark Dragon Hound and the Inferno Dragon, they were too large so they stayed in the contract space. The Purple Python could move about for a bit in the store. However, it was approaching the end of its teenage years and was about to reach adulthood. The Purple Python was over 20 meters long and close to 3 meters wide. So, the Purple Python had to curl up in the aisle. There was little space for it to wander around at will. Su Ping took care of the purple python. After everything was ready, he opened up the door. It was Su Lingyu, just as he sensed. As the door was opened, Su Lingyu stuck her head inside at once. "Why didn't you turn on the light?" She was astounded. Su Ping took a moment to realize that, since his vision was not hindered by darkness, he didn't even notice that he had left the lights off. He found the switch to turn the lights on and asked, "What are you doing here?" Su Lingyu stepped in slowly. She looked around and smelled blood in the air. Some vicious pets had been there before. She put the meal box on the table and said, "Here. Mum told me to bring this to you." Seriously. Having a meal delivered was not something he had expected. Su Lingyu snorted. "I did know that the store's business would certainly be very good today. But why didn't you tell Mum?" "I had to tell her that." Su Ping was relieved to hear her words. "Was Mum worried?" "No. I explained your situation to her." "What did you say?" Just that the store is doing well. As for your role in the academy, I didn't tell her." "You do that." Su Ping felt he could breathe again. It wasn't his intention to hide information on purpose. The explaining part was too bothersome. "Anyways, when did you start cultivating?" Su Lingyu turned around and looked into Su Ping's eyes. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. He had opened up the meal box. "Just recently," he answered. "Which idiot are you trying to fool here?" Su Lingyu was fuming at the mouth. "I'm not the one throwing the idiot word. You." Su Lingyu bit her teeth in hatred. Why did her brother have to be so mean? On the other hand, it was utterly strange that Su Ping had not bullied her after he had become strong. For this reason alone, Su Lingyu had a better impression of Su Ping and was less hostile when dealing with him. Even though, every time this guy spoke, she would be hopping mad. "Are the pets being trained by you?" Su Lingyu asked. Su Ping buried his head in the food, pretending that he didn't hear. Veins were starting to pop on Su Lingyu's forehead. She took some deep breaths and changed the subject. "How long will the training take?" "I saw it once. It was fast. Can you train my snowball here?" Su Ping raised his eyebrows. He looked at the meat in the bowl, paused for a second, and answered, "Why not?" Really? Su Lingyu didn't expect that Su Ping would agree to help her. "But I have to charge you," Su Ping added. The surge of joy in Su Lingyu vanished into thin air. "How much?" She frowned. "That charcoal of yours is of the middle rank, right?" "Then, 100,000, Su Ping replied. Su Lingyu glared at him. "That is the same price you told everyone else." "That's right," Su Ping admitted readily. Su Lingyu was enraged by how Su Ping could say that so naturally. At the same time, she sensed some strange feelings, as if she was feeling uncomfortable, wronged. The emergence of such feelings was unacceptable to her. She lashed out at him. "The store belongs to our family. I am half an owner. How dare you ask me to pay?" "Since you are the owner, then train it yourself," Su Ping talked back. He was thinking about providing the service for free, for the sake of dinner, but the system wouldn't allow it. Anyone that requested services at the store had to pay the fee, with no discounts whatsoever. That was where the system was inflexible. The system was probably worried about things becoming complicated if personal connections were mixed with business. Su Lingyu found no words to reply. She pouted. A few minutes later, she told Su Ping, grumpily, "So be it." Su Ping was surprised. "Where did you get so much money?" "I did some part-time jobs, of course," Su Lingyu said angrily. "I didn't ask Mum for money. Don't think of me as you, living off our parents." Halfway through her sentence, Su Lingyu stopped because she remembered things were different. He was no longer living off their parents. Rather, he was the backbone of the family. The fact that she had to stop her sentence made her even more furious. She snorted and turned her head away. "Good for you." Su Ping had a better view of his little sister. Su Lingyu said proudly, "You must train my pet well. The training has to be as good as what you offer to other people." Naturally, Su Ping answered without thinking. Su Lingyu didn't expect that Su Ping would answer so quickly. She looked at him from the corner of her eye. He was still eating. Those words were spilled out casually, so they had to represent his real thoughts. The anger in her disappeared. She got up. Okay, I have to go now. When can I leave Snowball with you? Tomorrow, Su Ping said. The store was packed. He had no place to keep Snowball at the moment. Su Lingyu nodded and headed to the door. When are you going back? I won't go home today. Su Ping looked at the time. Since it was already late, he thought he just might as well work through the night. Su Lingyu gave him another look but said nothing and left. Su Ping closed the door afterwards. Having had a hearty meal, Su Ping went back to the Dragon King's heritage ground with his 3 pets and another 2 he had picked out to continue exploring the land. With their effort, over 60 areas had been explored. Soon, the night passed. The night before, there was a time when Su Ping was completely worn out. He picked a desertic cultivation site, with a bleak environment and without any beasts. He slept for more than 10 hours. When he went back to the store, less than an hour had passed. He resumed his exploration. At the break of dawn, he heard some footsteps. Someone approached the door and stopped. Su Ping supposed they were surely customers. But he didn't move to welcome them. Since he still had enough energy, he went back to training again. Several hours passed. At around 9 in the morning, the streets had become quite lively and noisy. Some elders were out, shopping for groceries. Toward the end of the street where Su Ping's store was, a large number of young people were standing in line. Some recurrent customers took the lead to start the queue and some new customers followed after them. Is this Mr. Su's place? An expensive car with a license plate of the upper town area was parked on the street outside the store. Zhu Quang and Zhu Yingshu got out of the car at the same time. He double-checked the address in astonishment. The number 88 building of that street was a pet store. The address Mr. Su gave him was that pet store. Puzzled, the siblings looked at each other. Then, another luxurious car pulled up next to them. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 155 Nemesis. Inside the car, Yi Hao looked through the window at the huge crowds gathered outside the store and the 2 long lines. This scene startled him. So many people. He raised his head and looked at the store sign. This was the place he was looking for. Then, he saw some familiar faces from the academy. Some of them were top students. Yi Hao raised his eyebrows. They got there earlier than him. He didn't wait any longer and got out of the car. The store had not opened yet. The students could only wait there in boredom. Naturally, someone would look around. Soon, someone noticed Yi Hao getting out of that luxurious car. Those students stared at him in bewilderment. Look, it's Yi Hao. He's here. Soon, more people saw Yi Hao. They all turned to look at him, surprised. Yi Hao was the star student in the academy, and was quite famous with good reason. Almost everyone in the academy knew him. Yi Hao had been crushed by Luo Fengtian from the Berserking Blade Academy in their recent, friendly, match. But that didn't imply that Yi Hao was weak. It was that Luo Fengtian was strangely strong. After all, Yi Hao himself was a 5th-rank battle pet warrior and had an adult dragon. That was enough for him to overwhelm others. Yi Hao frowned at the chaos stirred up by him. But he had become used to it. It's him. Standing on the side, Zhu Quang was surprised to see Yi Hao. Just then, he felt this person was familiar. That name came to his mind when he heard the other people exclaiming. It was last year when Zhu Quang was in grade 2. He had met this lad named Yi Hao at the exchange match. Back then, Yi Hao lost to him. In less than a year, that lad had built up more fame. From the students' conversations, Zhu Quang had an idea that those students were most likely from the Phoenix Peak Academy. After some thought, Zhu Quang understood. Amongst all the famous academies in the Longjiang-based city, Phoenix Peak Academy was at the bottom. The academy was located in the Shantytown area, quite close to this current address. It wasn't strange that those students would go to Mr. Su's home. But, was this Mr. Su's home? Zhu Quang doubted it as he looked at the store. Zhu Yingshu noticed the look on Zhu Quang's face. She threw a look to Yi Hao who was in the distance and asked, "Do you know that guy?" "Yes. He lost to me last year. Xuanhuan nodded. Zhu Yingshu didn't stare at Xuanhuan any longer. She shifted her focus to the store. It was just too common. Why was it a store? This didn't make sense. Why would a titled battle pet warrior run a store in the shantytown area? At the moment, Yi Hao noticed the Zhu siblings from the corner of his eye, which took him aback. Those two stood out in the crowd. That girl next to Xuanhuan, in particular, was like a sharp sword unsheathed. The general public might not sense the difference in her, but to Yi Hao, she could catch attention and he felt danger in her. It's him. Yi Hao recognized Xuanhuan at once. He was surprised, and that emotion was soon replaced with a gloomy mood. The year before, he fought in an exchange match with a senior from grade 3. Unfortunately, Yi Hao was defeated. To make it worse, afterward, he was taunted and laughed at by his opponent, Xuanhuan. For that very reason, he was able to make a striking progress in the past year. Nobody would be able to imagine what kind of hellish experience he went through to train. To some extent, he had to thank Xuanhuan, but he would never forgive him. Xuanhuan raised his eyebrows and made a provocative face. He had noticed the coldness in Yi Hao's eyes. How could his defeated opponent be this arrogant? Yi Hao pressed down his anger since he was wary of the lady next to Xuanhuan. By the looks of it, Xuanhuan and this lady seemed to be close. Even though Yi Hao was confident that he could defeat Xuanhuan easily by then, he could not be this impulsive. With a loud noise, the store's door was opened. Su Ping looked tired. He threw a look at the dense crowds by the door. All of them were young people. They had to be from the Phoenix Peak Academy. Those coming to pick up pets, line up on the right. Those coming to train pets, line up on the left. Right side first, Su Ping said the usual rule. The two lines were ready. This was attributable to some recurrent customers. They helped Su Ping organize everything. Mr. Su. The first in line was still Zhang Beixing. Since he had failed to be the first one previously, he showed up earlier this day. At 4 in the morning. Zhang Beixing was surprised to see Su Ping coming out from the store. Mr. Su, why were you here already? I slept in the store. Su Ping glanced at him. He remembered Zhang Beixing well and admired the latter. It wasn't easy to be the first in line every time. Wait here, I'll get your pet. With that said, Su Ping went inside. By the street. When Su Ping opened the door, Xuanhuan, Zhu Yingshu, and Yi Hao saw Su Ping. Yi Hao's eyes glowed. He paid no more attention to Xuanhuan and hurried to the store. When Xuanhuan saw Su Ping, he cried out in pleasant surprise, "It's him! It's him!" Zhu Yingshu had thought that Su Ping was the student of that titled battle pet warrior. She was disappointed, thinking that it was then impossible for her brother to take that exalted warrior as his teacher. She was startled by Xuanhuan's words. What him? That titled battle pet warrior. Xuanhuan was excited. Then, he remembered all of a sudden that Su Ping's young look was utterly confusing. He hurried to explain, I forgot to tell you. The titled battle pet warrior that taught me is younger than I am. Sister, he is more talented than me. Zhu Yingshu paid no heed to the added compliment. She had already been left dumbfounded. He's the titled battle pet warrior you mentioned. Zhu Yingshu opened her eyes wide. How could he be so young? Xuanhuan nodded. He sounded smug. However strong you are, there's always someone stronger. Zhu Yingshu was speechless. That someone was not merely stronger. He was insanely stronger. Of course, the first thing she had to do was to make sure that what Xuanhuan had told her was the truth. How could there be a titled battle pet warrior this young? If that person was this powerful, he would easily win the championship at the Elite League. The past winners of the Elite League were all core members of famous households. None of those winners would be in dire want of money and run a store. Did he fool you? Zhu Yingshu frowned. She didn't feel good about this. That person had tricked her brother of his money. To make it worse, Xuanhuan had traveled such a long way to get there. He had been practically brainwashed. Of course not. Xuanhuan explained in a haste. How could I be fooled? Sister, he is young but he is quite formidable. I haven't seen his pets yet, but he can defeat my pets on his own. With that kind of strength, he should at least be at the 7th or 8th rank, even if he's not a titled battle pet warrior. The more Zhu Yingshu heard about it, the angrier she was. She found several inconsistencies in Zhu Quang's words. Zhu Quang had not seen that person's pets. Then, he changed his description to the 7th or 8th rank. To become a battle pet warrior of the 7th or 8th rank was difficult enough, but those two ranks could not compare to titled battle pet warriors. Besides, considering Su Ping's age, Zhu Yingshu didn't think he was at the 7th rank, not to mention the 8th rank. She had met many important characters in the barren areas. However, it was rare to find an advanced battle pet warrior at such a young age. She had worked so hard so many years after graduating, and she had just become an advanced battle pet warrior. The business was busy in the store. Zhu Yingshu smelled the stink of money. Her brother was not the only one being tricked. That guy was surely using some tricks to con those people. Follow me. Zhu Yingshu pulled a long face and walked over. Zhu Quang was surprised. He noticed something was off in his sister's tone. He went after her in a hurry. Sister. Su Ping picked up Zhang Beixing's pyro canine and told the latter the result of this training. It didn't learn any new skills. Its combat strength was increased by half a rank. The pyro canine had been trained many times. The chances of learning new skills became less as it progressed. Just the combat strength had been increased. Even so, to increase the combat strength by half a rank in one day was still beyond people's imagination. Zhang Beixing was glad. He thanked Su Ping. He was about to leave for the barren area. He was unwilling to leave this place. On the other hand, he lacked money. He could make some money while training himself in the barren area. Mr. Su Ping heard a voice. It was Yi Hao. Zhang Beixing turned around. He was surprised to see Yi Hao there. What was this academy celebrity doing there at Su Ping's store? Had Yi Hao also been attracted there by the store's fame? Yi Hao still felt strange to recognize Su Ping as his teacher, but what Su Ping demonstrated the day before had convinced him. Su Ping darted him a glance. Are you here for the training? Well, Yi Hao was there to meet Yi Hao and talk to him about combat and cultivation. As for pet training, he wasn't all that interested. After all, he had 8th rank master trainers taking care of his pets. He thought that other people might even hurt his pets. Su Ping stared at him with ardent passion. Yi Hao nodded after some hesitation. To turn him down would be embarrassing to Su Ping, and it could indirectly affect Su Ping's business. End of the chapter. Astral Pets Store will be read in 5 chapters for every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. Please leave this sound novel and press subscribe, follow, and the bell so you don't miss any new clips as well. See you.